The mission of the University of South Florida's Urban Food Sovereignty Group is to support, encourage, and advance academic research and public action on urban food sovereignty, the right and opportunity of persons in urban ecosystems to define their own food and agriculture policies and practices, and to produce healthy and culturally appropriate food through their own means using ecologically sound and sustainable methods independent of the industrial food system. A question often comes up, well, why do you need to do this? We already have a lot of energy that's being put into food security. We've seen the long lines at food stations, at food feeding operations, where folks pull up and they get a box of food that's put in the trunk of their car. We've seen the billions, we've learned of the billions of dollars that the federal government is spending on food security. And yet food security is not food sovereignty. Food security still rests on an industrial food system. It still rests on other people producing the food that you consume. Food sovereignty reverses that and puts its energy and its emphasis on the production of local food by local growers and the beginning of the development of a culture around that local production and local consumption.
The Urban Food Sovereignty Group is a collective of faculty, staff, and students at USF really focused on moving our food system forward to deeper areas of inclusion and really realizing what's wrong with our food system.
So food sovereignty transcends different disciplines, whether it is sustainability, global development, disciplines like my own, religious studies, but also other humanities disciplines. So it is an important venue and opportunity for us as teachers, but also as community members to get to know what we are each doing in the community in our various interests and in our various fields of study in a productive way that not only advances knowledge, but also builds bridges between the academy, USF as an institution, and the local communities who we ultimately hope to serve.
Well, Will and I got together and began this project to try to offer resources for folks in the Tampa Bay region to learn a little bit more about what food sovereignty was. One of the ideals of the Food Sovereignty Group is to introduce the idea of food sovereignty into the entire curriculum, to make it a part of any department and any course and any schedule of courses that deals with issues in culture, deals with issues in ethics, especially social justice issues, that deal with the environment, and that deal with broader issues that relate to the sacred values of American culture. Food sovereignty should be part of that curriculum. It should be part of those courses. It should be part of those departments.
My discipline is anthropology, and we've worked on food sovereignty really since the beginning of our discipline. I've spent most of my career working with Native Americans on food reclamation and food sovereignty projects. So I've spent many years looking at what food sovereignty means from indigenous perspectives. And it's not just the ability to eat what you want. So some people might misunderstand food sovereignty as, what does that mean, sovereignty, the right to do what you want? It's really the right to have your own culturally appropriate foods and to be able to choose foods that are healthy for you. So food sovereignty really speaks deeply to personal, cultural, political, global, and environmental issues. So it's a much larger concept than thinking about food security or food sustainability.
So the food sovereignty model brings the food to the people. Food that is culturally sound, food that is is accepted by the community, and food that the community can associate with, can relate with. You know, we get to hear from the community, we get to understand what the community needs, and then we get to grow what is needed for and by the community.
The urban food sovereignty obviously has a focus on urban neighborhoods, but the food system is not a single component. It all relates to each other, and when it is done right, it is cyclical and reinforcing. And so for me, what sovereignty looks like is knowing that Hillsborough County residents feel confident in their ability to grow, procure, cook, harvest, and then dispose of their own food and nutrition.
My research area is childhood obesity prevention, and I do nutrition education for children and their parents. My main research focus is to how to educate the community and children to eat healthier. And as I do my research, I cannot really disconnect how people eat from how foods are growing and where foods are coming from. We found that the food access, food environment, and how foods are growing, and also how the community members and the consumers know about their own food. It's very different from you just go to the grocery store and eating whatever is available. So food sovereignty is really about who has the control over what you eat. And then community members and all the consumers need to really know where the foods are coming from. And also, even though they don't really grow their own food, they have to have a closer connection or relationship with the farming or the source of the food.
So you don't know what the other hand is doing, mainly because most people are used to working in silos. But I like the food sovereignty group because what they do is, bringing all these different communities together that are basically practicing food sovereignty and making us know where we are lacking and how we need to improve and strengthen, the work of food sovereignty.
When somebody is educated and empowered and they can make their own decisions, they don't feel like they are at the will of some other external force, that makes people happy and confident societies are generally just better places, and especially as it relates to food and agriculture and nutrition. With the Sovereignty Group, we do a lot of community education. We are trying to connect pieces from the university system to actual community practitioners, and by creating a strong bridge between these two different systems, we'll be able to strengthen our food system throughout.
What we try to do in the Food Sovereignty Group is to engage the local community. And by the local community, we mean both the University of South Florida, the campus community, as well as the community beyond the campus of the University of South Florida in the Tampa area. But we move beyond the Tampa area to also include 3 other areas in the Tampa Bay region. One of which is the city of St. Petersburg and Pinellas County more generally, and then Pasco County, and specifically the city of Newport Richey. Projects that are going on in these areas are of critical importance to understanding, one, what food sovereignty is, and then establishing food sovereignty as a principle upon which we can build a better world, upon which we can build a better society.
So currently we have a website in which students, faculty, and community partners can go to find more information about the USF Urban Food Sovereignty Group, as well as information about our annual summit. We also have an email listserv, which includes over 150 active participants who can engage in communications with one another, as well as learn more about the events and the initiatives that we have here at USF, as well as learn more about food-related initiatives here in our local community, whether in the form of gardens, local food initiatives related to community-supported agriculture, or even local small-scale farms where students, faculty, and regular community members can go to volunteer, to engage in conversations and dialogue about our food system, and learn more about what is available here in the Tampa region with respect to our food system.
Think locally, act locally. Think locally, act locally. What is your ecosystem? What can be grown where you are? What can be produced where you are? And what is the community of individuals, human beings where you live, but what are the other communities as well, the plant and animal communities that are our neighbors as well. Food sovereignty takes into consideration all of those features and all of those elements to make not just a better food system, but indeed a better world.